In the top stories, public sector workers lend support to striking BWA colleagues. An explosion at a St. Thomas home leaves a man seriously injured, and West Indies women to take on England in T20 cricket. Welcome to Nation News for Wednesday, March 23, 2016. I'm Natasha Beckles. It appears the Barbados Workers Union is stepping up its efforts in the current impasse with the Barbados Water Authority. On Wednesday, public sector workers turned out in their numbers to show support to striking BWA workers in a meeting at the union's Solidarity House headquarters. Employees of the Transport Board, Bridgetown Port, Barbados Light and Power and Customs were among those attending the session. BWA workers have been off the job since last Wednesday with the backing of the union. BWU General Secretary Tony Moore has charged that the BWA has dishonored agreements it made with the union. Economist Ryan Strawn has called on Finance Minister Chris Tinkler to share the true state of the Barbados economy. Speaking during a press briefing on Wednesday, he said businesses and households continue to struggle as a result of government's policies.
Basically, the concern that I have right now is that there's a lack of clarity as to exactly where we are, what is required, and how much longer Barbadians will be required to sacrifice before the Minister of Finance gets it right. And I think that it is incumbent on the government to come clean as to the true state of the economy and let Barbadians know, quite frankly, how much longer we can expect to go through the level of taxation that we are under and when effective relief will come.
Police are investigating an explosion which occurred at a home in 40 acres St. Thomas on Tuesday night. One occupant, 54-year-old Daniel Jackson, received serious burns to his legs, hands and face. He was transported to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital by private vehicle. The Barbados Fire Service also responded to the incident. Former chief economist at the International Monetary Fund, Dr. Simon Johnson, is predicting that digital currency will eventually replace paper. However, he says there are some questions to be answered, including what form the system will take and whether central banks are going to lead the push. Dr. Johnson, who was a guest on the Central Bank of Barbados Caribbean Economic Forum on Tuesday night, advised the Caribbean to make its voice heard on currency regulation.
I think if you in the Caribbean want your voice to be heard on this very important question, now is the time to speak up. The Department of Finance in New York State does regulate Bitcoin as a means of transferring money. So that's a particular kind of license, not a full banking license. And it's quite onerous to get that license. I believe only one has been granted so far, but several more are believed to be pending. And I think we should look carefully at this kind of model, and you should decide for yourselves how you want to regulate it, but certainly protecting the consumer, certainly ensuring that there's honesty throughout the system, certainly ensuring that there's a proper degree of auditing. And all of this potentially is easier because it's a digital, these new cryptocurrencies are created an immutable record, a permanent record of all transactions. If this is done properly, and I must emphasize it needs to be regulated appropriately, then you can actually get something potentially better than what's currently available. For example, in terms of anti-money laundering and know your customer. That's a set of requirements that we all have to face these days.
Barbados Ambassador to CARICOM, Robert Bobby Morris, believes it will be some time before countries in the CARICOM single market and economy stop competing and start working together. He made the comments on Wednesday as he spoke to 19 UWI Cave Hill students who will be visiting Jamaica to learn more about the CSME regime.
The reality is that there will be some competition and there will be a lot of cooperation too, and that is natural. And I think therefore that if we look totally to being able not to compete against each other but working in harmony in totality, I think that's an ideal that we can try to reach. But I think it's going to take some time before that happens. There will be competition. Most of our countries have similar goods and services, and therefore when we learn to harness what they have and work together with outside forces, we'll be better off. But in the meantime, there is some competition. Fighting for the tourist dollar, whether in terms of cruise ships coming or the body of tourists coming, some of that is there. But we have to learn that both competition and cooperation are part of what will happen.
During the week-long mission, which will begin on April 10th, the students will visit a number of agencies that are directly involved in the movement of goods and services. Easter is a time most Barbadian households consume fish. but it seems flying fish wouldn't be on the menu for some. When a nation team visited the Bridgetown Fisheries Complex on Wednesday, there was lots of flying fish, dolphin and shark available. But with flying fish costing at least $20 a pack, vendor Karen Bellamy Thompson said Bajans were looking for cheaper alternatives.
Well, your sales are moderate and it still looks good. Though the flying fish is $20 and $25 a pack, people are still purchasing them, but the main fish that people are really buying are terrapins, that's $3 a pound, jacks, $4 a pound. That's the main fish that's selling because people are very careful with their pocket in these times.
Schools are expressing increased interest in the Right Start speech contest organized by Republic Bank Barbados. Word of this comes from Communications Assistant Leanna Howard, who spoke to Nation News at the launch of the 6th annual competition. The competition is open to children between the ages of 9 and 11 from public and private schools.
This year we received over 20 primary schools confirming that they will be participating. The competition seems to grow every year. Usually after the workshop or after the launch, we would then get a lot of inquiries from schools and they will start calling, asking about it, asking if they could then join. So I guess after today we will see and go from there.
In sport, fresh off 2 victories, confidence is high among the West Indies women as they prepare to face England on Thursday at the ICC Women's World 2020 tournament. Head coach Vasper Drake said after trying different combinations, the batting and bowling were starting to come together. He is expecting a high-energy performance that could seal a place in the semi-finals.
Obviously, you want to see the energy from ball one. You want to see us getting involved in the game and trying to control the game early on, trying to create some pressure and keep that pressure for a long period of time. We believe that with our team, when you see the balance within it in the last 2 games, as I said, everyone is feeling quite confident that on their given day, if they execute, we can get the upper hand of England. One of the things that you got to take into consideration, playing in the subcontinent, I believe is anyone can win the game if you can get a par score on that wicket, which is 125. We're certainly going to be in the game, so that's going to be our priority to make sure that we have put some runs on the board at the back first, so that we will be able to control the game in that manner.
First ball is 10 a.m. Team Barbados will be hunting more medals on Wednesday when the Carifta Swimming Championships continue in Martinique. On Tuesday, Barbados won 13 medals, 3 gold, 5 silver and 5 bronze. McCallum Clark set a new meet record of 2 minutes 37.78 seconds in the 200-meter breaststroke for 10 to 11 boys. The team of Alex Sobers, Jack Kirby, Louis Sebastian Weeks and Damon St. Prix also set a new national age group record of 3:33.66 in the 4x100 freestyle relay. And finally, a book overdue by nearly 50 years has been returned to a library in Ohio. The University of Dayton says a former student who borrowed the history of the Crusades in 1967 has sent it back with an apology for the late return. James Phillips apparently checked out the book as a freshman before leaving school to join the U.S. Marines. He recently found the book in a box of belongings forwarded to him by his brother after his parents' death. University officials say they won't be charging Mr. Phillips the late fee, which would have been about $350. And that's Nation News for Wednesday. For more news, log on to nationnews.com as well as YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Remember to pick up your Weekend Nation a day early on Thursday or subscribe to our e-paper. Thank you so much for joining us.